Hugh Sinclair, microlending was supposed to be the solution to third world poverty, so what happened?
I think mainly there were three key problems. First of all, the profit incentive just became so great. The opportunities for people to make a lot of money charging very high interest rates took over the sector. The other problem was a complete lack of transparency. There's very little information really about what's actually happening on the ground. There's a lot of myth on websites and marketing materials, but really what's happening on the ground is a relatively well-kept secret.
And how did you get involved with microlending to dispel those myths?
Well, I originally went into microlending because I was working in finance for many years before, and then I wanted to sort of try and do something to contribute to poverty. So I sort of stumbled into it in a way. And then what I realized after a few years working in the sector was that it didn't quite live up to its expectations, and there were quite a few frauds and scandals, and these started growing by year. So I eventually just found it very uncomfortable working in the sector.
And it's not just local charities getting involved in places like Mozambique, where you visited for the book. It's also big players. Who are the big players there? Well,
the biggest microfinance fund in the world is the Swiss-based Blue Orchard. But there's a lot of Wall Street players, so you have Standard Chartered, Citibank, Deutsche Bank are also large players. You have Triple Jump in Holland, ASN Bank, Grameen Foundation. There are the private sector investment community is about $70 billion now, so it's big money.
Can you give me an example of some of the abuses you found?
Some of the abuses have included the unregulated on-lending of money, so financial intermediation without a banking license, taking savings from people and on-lending them. Interest rates, the highest interest rates that I've ever come across are 195% a year.
And this is 195% for a very, very small third world business, for its tomato selling or a milk production unit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a Mexican bank called Compartamos, and I mean, their loans range from $500 upwards. And unfortunately, there are good institutions that are charging reasonable interest rates, but really rates under 30% are extremely rare, and 100 and above is disturbingly common.
But you're still in favor of microlending, you just want it tweaked, correct?
Yeah, I think microfinance, I mean, without a doubt, it does work, and it can work, and it is working, today. The problem is that good microfinance institutions are becoming rarer and rarer. And unless we regulate the sector and enforce greater degree of transparency, the fear is that the sector will just eventually be overtaken by the loan shark dressed as a microfinance institution, which was precisely the dream of Muhammad Yunus, was to replace the loan sharks, and in fact it looks like we're becoming them.
This market is
stock pickers market.
Stocks have rallied this year.
We're coming into a Monday where we're going